Hey guys, welcome to my channel TAUFi. I am Tao and I will be your host for today. This is the macro trader update and today is February 29th. It's going to be a leap year, so I don't know, this might be the last time I say this to you guys. What we have on today's agenda is going to be Bitcoin, a little update on my CleanSpark position, talk a little bit of an update on my long-term Solana position. We'll review our Apple options trade and then take a look at the PCE. Thanks guys for sticking it out with me on my audio. I finally figured it out after I think 2 days of trying to troubleshoot this. If anybody is picking up a Rode Pod mic and then the USB version, don't update the firmware. Basically, once you update the firmware, you brick it. So had to send it in and get another one. So let's dive into what's happening over at Bitcoin. Okay, on the technicals, on Bitcoin, on the daily, we currently have a buy of 4. Right now, today, Bitcoin took a little bit of a breather and we're down about 2%. Right now, we don't have any current upper targets and it blew past our projection for 59,000 right here. I think Bitcoin's just going to take a little breather from here. And yesterday, you noticed the high wick up all the way up to 64,000, and then it, dramatically reversed, and I think it went down to around 60,000 again. The volatility is expected, so don't be afraid of the volatility. Just know that volatility works both ways, both on the upside and on the downside. Nothing else really going on the daily chart. I think until we break this 58, 59 support here, I'm not too concerned and I'm just going to let Bitcoin do its thing. RSI is starting to touch our overbought section and that's still okay right now. And then diving over to the daily, we have a sell countdown of a 4. It means it's, heading in the down direction. We had these major 13s here that we hit at the hourly level, and I'm not surprised that it's consolidating. Right now we have some levels right here for around 54,500 and then some lower targets down here for around 51,500. If we start breaking some of these resistance, I'll get a little bit more concerned, but until then this 59 level is holding out pretty well too. So let's just watch Bitcoin do its thing and watch it consolidate. From RSI right now, it's heading to the oversold territory. So probably just going to consolidate a little bit more. Diving over into the weekly chart, nothing really to highlight over here. Right now, it's still this massive wave here. This has probably been the biggest week for Bitcoin in a while. We're actually up around 18% for the week, which is really good. No upside targets right now, and then no downside targets as well. RSI is right in the middle of the range, so things look good for Bitcoin. Moving over to the Bitcoin ETF inflows. Yesterday, we had another record-breaking day at $673 million. I think the last day that we had was the second best day was 636 million on February 13th, probably about 2 weeks now. So that's good. The inflows right now are still heading up, and that's probably a lot of the buying pressure that we see right now. I think the wicks that we've been seeing to the downside are probably some folks taking profit on the way up, and that's expected. We're reaching close to the all-time highs, and as we're getting close to it, those short-term traders are definitely going to be taking their profits and then watching how the rest of the cycle evolves. Looking at the total inflows through all the ETFs, we have around $7.4 billion. That's just a staggering amount. I think it took gold about a year to get to this rate. So just to give you a ballpark of what Bitcoin's been able to do in the last month or so, and we haven't even hit that month mark yet. So looks like the demand side is still pretty strong on Bitcoin, and I still see some price appreciation on the way. So in both cases, the technicals on Bitcoin look really good, and when you marry that with the fundamentals of the Bitcoin inflows and the ETF inflows, that just paints a really good picture and a really bullish picture for cryptocurrency. I think that this is I've been following some folks who do Elliott wave theory, and they most of the time when you see things go parabolic like this move, they usually classify this as a C wave, and a lot of the analysts are saying we're probably only at the halfway mark of this major C wave. So really good price appreciation, hopefully in the horizon. So moving over to CleanSpark, our short-term trade. Right now, for today, we lost about 10%. I'm not too surprised. I think by the way things are flowing, we seem to have peaked here a couple days ago, even before Bitcoin started rallying. So I think just with my observations right now, it seems like the people investing and putting their money into Bitcoin miners have been a little bit ahead of the Bitcoin cycle. I actually just added a little bit more to my tactical short-term trade of about a month or so. That's probably why you want to take profits in the short term when things are getting hot, which we did here right at the top of this, around 20 something dollars. Right now we're trading at around, I think, $16. So I bought a little bit more. The reason why I bought a little bit more was due to these 9 countdowns on the daily chart. Right now, this 9 indicating a potential reversal in the trend, and we're looking at some supports here around 1550. So below this range, I'll be concerned, and then some lower target here. If we start sliding into the $12 range, I'll get a little bit more concerned. But we got some indicators from DeMark on the daily as well too. This is probably for camouflage, and looking to buy into this and seeing how this goes. Turning over to the weekly for CleanSpark. Nothing major here, and essentially, it's very similar to the weekly chart for Bitcoin. RSI still looks good and trending up, and we're not even in the overbought territory yet, so still more room to go. So to give you a little bit of an update on the long-term portfolio, remember we took about 5% off of our CleanSpark position in the long-term portfolio. What it ended up doing is rolling it over to MicroStrategy. So MicroStrategy, some of you guys know, have been buying Bitcoin. Michael Saylor used to be the CEO of Bitcoin, and now he's on the board. They've been buying Bitcoin like no other. What I've been noticing is that it's been moving at about 2x of Bitcoin. That's just based on the leverage of all the Bitcoins that they own. Some risk in MicroStrategy is that you do have operational risk, since it is a company. It's not pure play like Bitcoin, where there are no executives and no operation. So I decided to move about the 5% profit that we took off from CleanSpark in a long-term portfolio and put it into MicroStrategy. My game plan is just to hold this again long-term for the next 12 months. So we blew past this support at 980, or this D-wave projection of 986, and we got and we're holding pretty strong here at the 900 level. Looking at the weekly chart right here as well too, we do have some more support at about 986. If things start reversing and price target goes below 986, I'll start taking a look at it and then maybe make some adjustments over there. But right now, moving that 5% profit over to MicroStrategy. One reason that I wanted to do that is just because I wanted to take out some risk from the miners, but I also wanted to layer on the additional exposure to Bitcoin. I could have easily done the ETFs, and some of you can do just some of the ETFs. Again, I like to at least this part in the cycle where it's there's still some risk. It's definitely riskier than the bottom before, but still not as risky as like all-time highs. If it was all-time highs, I don't know if I would be doing this strategy, and I might be doing something more of some call options or something like that. So a little bit of a short-term allocation to Bitcoin MicroStrategy with the 5% gains that we took in CleanSpark in a long-term portfolio. Taking a look over here at Solana next. We are trading currently at $128, and we've gained about 7.6%. Solana was lagging a little bit behind Bitcoin, but it seems like it's starting to catch up right now. Actually, another update as well too is I actually added more Solana to my long-term portfolio here at these levels. I've actually added in at around the 125 levels here. On the weekly chart, we have a buy countdown of 4, and it seems like the momentum is still going strong. We have some upper targets of 147. If things start going south of, let's say, 120 and then 110, I'll be a little bit more concerned. Looking at the hourly chart in the shorter time frame, we hit some resistance here at 134, and I think that's okay. We're starting to get a buy countdown, which means the direction should be trending down, and that's okay. It's going to consolidate. It shouldn't break, let's say, 116. If it does, I'll be a little bit more concerned. RSI is going down to the oversold territory. So hopefully we'll make a nice move back up and some price appreciation in Solana, making that catch up run on Bitcoin that it had. Looking on the weekly, this is, again, I look at the weekly to see where things are headed. Right now, we have some resistance at maybe 150 and then 250. I really do think Solana is going to be a top mover. We've seen I've heard some analyst projections of around $500 for this cycle and even up to the $600. I probably won't be taking a closer look at this and maybe de-risking until, let's say, the $400 range. And I'll keep you guys updated with what I'm doing with Solana. So again, just adding some more Solana to my long-term position. I think this is a good position still, and the trend is still really strong. I think, over the next couple of months, it should appreciate pretty quickly, and I'm okay with some downside in Solana in the short term. So as a trader, I'd like to, I don't look at my positions every single day, but do like to at least follow up and get some updates on the position. The chart that I wanted to take a look at was Apple. We took a position on Apple with some options from the 190 strike price ending in April timeframe, the 19th of April. Just to take a look at the daily chart, we still have, buy countdowns, which means the direction could potentially be going down. Again, why we took this position was we've bounced off this 180 level a couple of times now, and hopefully it'll be a good price appreciation here. So in trading, we definitely want to look at the possibilities. This could potentially still break down past this level and continue to move down. We have our stop loss at about $178. If it breaks below that, we'll make sure to take the position off. What we're looking for here in this position is a increase in price and moving along here. Apple has been lagging along everybody else, but and they just canceled their all electric car project, which I think will help them refocus, and I think that will help just the stock do a little bit better. They haven't done much on the AI front, but hopefully, in the next couple of weeks or months or so, they can, release some data that has some AI in it to kind of catch up with the rest of the Magnificent Seven. We also had this 13 here on the daily chart for Apple. So I know hopefully we can be moving up from this target here, and this 13 should indicate a reversal. On the weekly chart, not much going on here besides the RSI heading down to this oversold territory, and hopefully we'll be making a move up from here. So the big macro release for today is the Fed's PCE report. For those who don't know, the PCE is the Personal Consumption Expenditure Price Index, which measures the average price of all the domestic consumption in the United States. Kind of reflects the prices paid for goods and services by consumers. And then the PCE's been the really main indicator being used for inflation by the Fed, and it kind of gauges how much inflation is happening in the economy. As you can see, the trend right now is currently heading down, and we've been in a downtrend since, which is good. Inflation is not very good for risk assets and a lot of the consumers, since as good prices are high, there's less discretionary spending for people to invest and spend on other things and just risk assets in general. The Fed also looks at core PCE, which strips out food and energy, which are a lot more volatile, just kind of revealing the core inflation components. As you can see, core CPE as well too is been heading down in the same manner, and that should be a good take on for the economy. Darius Dale shared a little bit of his thoughts in his latest tweet for today's macro event, and specifically on the PCE data. Let's take a look at what Darius is saying. So right now, Darius thinks that inflation aspects of the January PCE report due at 8:30 are already expecting to come in hot. So the catalyst has been to de-risk somewhat. The 0.4% month-over-month forecast for core CPE among Wall Street economists represents the fastest pace since January 23. Investors entered February with 6 cut rates priced in for 2024 and currently set to exit the month with only 3 priced in for the year. The S&P 500 is up 4% month to date, splashing cold water in the face of bears who've been pounding the table about too many rate hikes being priced in. If your entire investment process centers around what the Fed is doing, you will continue to outperform investors and actually know how to piece the global macro puzzle together. He goes further on to say that the PCE is my favorite data point of the thousands of high-frequency time series being fed to our country nowcast models each month. The read-through on consumer spending and nominal income growth to help determine Goldilocks should persist as the market regime, or reflation will be a more lasting appearance heading into the spring. I think what essentially Darius is saying is that, he has a little bit of a different take on it, and it is coming in hotter than expected. But, still that should still be okay for risk assets in the market. And generally, we're going to still be in a Goldilocks scenario in market regime, which is good for risk assets. So those are all the things I wanted to cover for you on this Thursday. I hope you guys enjoyed the content, and I hope you guys enjoyed the update on some of the things that are happening in macro and some of the updates on the trades and some of the portfolio updates as well too. I'll catch you guys next time.